Visiting China for the first time will shock you. In many ways, it's very different to anything you've heard or could possibly ever imagine. Here are just a couple of things that surprised me, a foreigner, about China. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Harvey and I make videos about life in China. If that's something that interests you, then go ahead and click that subscribe button. The weather today in Shanghai, guys, is awful, so it's been raining non-stop. Apologies about the audio. But the first thing that surprised me about China is the law and order. Let me elaborate just a little bit. In the UK or the US, interactions with the police force are tense and actually quite scary for most people, despite the police apparently being there to serve the public. The police have such a bad reputation, especially in the US. There are numerous videos of police brutality, police abusing their powers, and so on and so forth. In fact, just a few days ago, the police in America shot another black lady. Apart from this time, she was pregnant. Compare this to China, and I found a stark difference in the dynamic of the relationship between the police and the public. Here, the police are genuinely here to serve. They give directions, they hold your baby for you whilst you go to the toilet, and are trained to de-escalate situations instead of shooting first and asking questions later. In fact, police here don't even carry guns. Because of this, the Chinese public aren't hostile towards their police force, and even love and praise them. Now, this isn't to say that they are lax or lazy or anything like that. Instead, their approach is simply centered upon conflict resolution rather than immediate punitive action. Society respect their police force, and in exchange, the police force reciprocate that respect to society. So doesn't this make you question, why can't we also have this mutual respect elsewhere, like in the UK? The next thing that surprised me about China is the outdated stereotype of it being a largely rural country. Yes, rural areas do exist in China, and that is quite charming. If a country was just skyscrapers, that would get a bit boring. So it's nice to have a bit of rural land. However, the stereotype of China in the minds of many people in the West is that it is a poor, rural, unmodern country. Well, in fact, China's urbanization rate as of 2023 stands at almost 65%. China has its fair share of cities with glittering skyscrapers, sprawling areas, and world-class infrastructure, which begs the question, why does this stereotype still exist in some people's minds? Another thing that stood out was the sense of national pride among the Chinese citizens. It's palpable in their cultural celebrations, in their respect for their history, and their enthusiasm for their country's achievements. This love for their nation, this unity, it feels refreshing, especially when compared to the political and cultural divisions we often see day to day in the West. Could this be a lesson for us to learn about unity and shared identity? Perhaps one of the most surprising things about China is its approach to urban planning, or its so-called ghost cities. In China, there are fully formed cities, complete with infrastructure, housing, and even public services, but without one crucial ingredient: people. These cities are empty, at least for the time being. It's a very unique approach to urban planning where first, they build the city, and then second, they move the people in. And it works, and it's a testament to China's belief in its growth story. Another thing that surprised me about China, and this one is a bit of a delicate issue, is the idea of racism. Now, many people back home consider China as a country that has an element of racism. I'm here to tell you that that is false. In my time in China, I found that racism, as we understand it in the West, it doesn't exist. There is curiosity, yes, but it usually doesn't come from a place of animosity or superiority. People are often genuinely interested in learning about different cultures. How refreshing is that compared to the divisiveness and prejudice that we often see elsewhere? Finally, the notion of trust. China is a high trust society. People trust their government, their institutions, and each other. It's a trust that's built into the fabric of society and is reflected in the way people conduct business, interact socially, and live their daily lives. Now, I can leave my MacBook, my phone, my camera, everything and anything. I can leave it on the table in a cafe whilst I go to the toilet or pop outside to take a phone call. When I get back, it will still be there. But can we say the same for our societies back home? No, of course we can't. And that's a shame. In conclusion, my journey through China so far has been an eye-opening and thought-provoking experience. It's a country that's much more than the sum of the stereotypes and misconceptions that we often associate it with. It's a place of contrasts, of learning, and of surprises. So if you want to see more of it, subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, bye for now.